So I don't think DK is just all about this early mid-game snowball.
For sure. I'm currently quite worried seeing their lack of damage. Without, obviously they can do Medusa, but I don't see how if they, for example, DK gets blinks on Medusa, what is it that they're casting on her that's going to kill her in time before her team responds?
Yeah. Oh, and I'd say to kind of like even add on to that, they just picked Death Prophet. This hero is like the DK counter when it comes to the mid lane and also just the game overall. Usually in the past patches, you saw this Death Prophet come out and you would flex the DK into like the off lane. Even forward position we sometimes saw, but I don't know. We haven't seen much off lane DK. At the same time, you're just giving Medusa free farm, so it feels like Talon with like a Death Prophet versus DK mid are in for some really good lanes.
Yeah, I'm super excited about Darkseer.
I was going to say Darkseer.
Oh my god, I love
This
Darkseer.
is a hero you've been hyping up for the first, week that we had this new patch and we didn't see it. Shit, this is something that you favor a lot. You're like, this is it. It's got some good matchups.
Oh my gosh! I mean, they so the vacuum damage got increased again, but it was pretty high before, and then it got nerfed down again, and then I guess
undocumented change.
Was it? No, it wasn't.
When it got the damage got the level 1 went from like 100 to 40, then back to 100.
Yeah.
It was undocumented.
Was it really?
I think so.
I feel like I remember reading it in a patch and going, wow.
Ah.
But I don't know. Maybe I feel like I read it. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Either way,
semantics.
He's back, baby.
Yeah.
This hero's gone through like a lot of different builds. People would buy like ags on him, and you would run him like that and just tank up your cores and take fights and stuff. And then in Europe West, I think it was 33, was just picking Darkseer every game and buying Orchid, and that was a build for a while until Orchid got nerfed, and then Darkseer kind of disappeared because his vacuum got nerfed. And at this point, I actually don't know what the build on him is. I thought he might have shown up last patch with the Wraith packs, but yeah, clearly not. I'm very happy that Nigma are gonna pick him. I know Mizu's pretty baller at that hero.
Yeah. Usually it's a hero that I feel like I've seen teams almost always ban when they pick Dusa against NGX just because of how much Mizu plays it, but he's typically just goes the Helm build, at least in the past he has, so...
10 seconds huge throwback.
Not sure if that's still going to be the case on this patch. It seems like one of these heroes that just will buy whatever's needed. Like, if you need a Wraith pack, Darkseer can, pick it up.
True, and it's also nice, Darkseer is like one of the only melee offlaners where you want to play with a melee 4. So we keep talking about how it's nice to play all these ranged offlaners with the Dooms and the Tinies, but yeah, Darkseer loves that too. You just slam an Iron Shell on your melee hero and he goes and runs up and clicks.
Interesting. I guess they seem to be expecting Death Prophet offlane. Like, I guess for me, it's like I just think Death Prophet is such a good mid matchup against DK, but the one thing for Talon is that it's not really a Mikoto hero. He likes to play those more flashy heroes. There's some mid lanes where you're like, yeah, they'll play some mid Death Prophet. Mikoto's not really one of them. Whereas KP, he played a lot of Death Prophet in the past.
What do you think there is, the need for this clock, or why do you think Talon have picked it up? Is it just something that maybe they're still comfort on after last game?
I think it just looks really nice this game. They get the Pugna gets really disrupted on the backline. Like when you play against a Pugna, you really want something that is able to like jump him or get onto him. They don't have that right now with DP, Medusa, and Bane. Clock does fulfill that. It's also like if this Doom is playing support, it's gonna be Clock's a really good hero to like sort of stop him from dooming your teammates and stuff. You can split up the fights. He just seems like really nice right now. So I'm super down for it. It's also just you're playing with a DP and a Medusa core. You would like a melee support to kind of tank for you and stand like in front, tank spells for you. Clock just fits that. I think he looks nice this game.
Okay.
Clock's back. No more Earth Spirits.
Woo!
No more Tusk. It's Clockwork Hour. I'm happy to see some Clock.
I thought you were going to add some more onto that, but...
Yeah, no, I'm just hyped. Nothing...
Hype. More hype than Ember mid? Definitely. Could we see a bit of an SMG case here? Ember goes offlane DP mid.
It's Mikoto.
Jabs played offlane Ember at the major. I'm just saying.
I was trying.
I think offlane Ember is viable. I just think with Talon, like when you look at KP's playstyle and Mikoto's playstyle, it's like I'd be pretty shocked if they swap those heroes.
No, that's what you go. Yeah, this is the hype. It's gonna be Ember. It's not gonna happen. NGX Monkey King is the last pick.
Yes, so Monkey is going to be the carry. Maybe we're seeing all these melee 4 positions. Maybe they feel like, Monkey needs to come back because these 4 positions just seem to keep running at carry. So against the Clockwork, Death Revel lane.
I mean, it's more for the Medusa core matchup,
True.
right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Medusa wants to stand there and hit. Monkey puts his ult down. Medusa's upset.
And I think NGX are, they're a team. Honestly, I feel like we talk about sometimes their draft not being the best. I feel like half the time they're winning, more than half, most of the times they're winning games. They're 50, 60-minute games. These guys just, they're not an early game team.
They're not an early game team, but you hyped up the DK tempo.
yeah. I was on some shit there. That was a bunch of nonsense. These guys, they're hoping for 60 minutes.
Yeah, well, game 2, the players had to play an 80-minute game, but Mike and John had to cast an 80-minute John. Oh my
an 80-minute John.
Woo!
John and John.
John. Thoughts, John?
Thoughts, John?
Yeah, that's a rough one for Talon. I think NGX has a stronger draft to kind of take it early here. They've got pretty decent core matchups, and I think as long as they play around their conditions, they play around their timings, they could make this tough for Talon. But Talon, they've got the Savage Medusa, they've got the Mikado Ember. These are their specialties. Could be a bit of a tough one still to go up against.
Oh God, I've lost into. I don't know if any.
Oh, awesome!
No.
Does that mean we get to stay here? Do we get to stall the game out? Can we?
I'll
No.
probably
Oh,
push
he's
up.
back. He's back. He's
God
back.
dang it.
Oh, hello.
Oh well, let's just jump into game 3 then. Now that we've got Mike, we don't have to stall.
Yeah, it's all by myself right now. Mikey's gone. I've had Discord issues. Actually, I can't connect to the Discord, so in the background I've just got the call going on and off. But this is Southeast Asia. We can't go through a series without something internet related not going right, and we are into it. Game number 3. NGX having a bit of a back and forth in the last one. Talon holding on for a long time, but they've got the Darkseer out. This is something that excites me. It excited the panel a little bit with GoDz and Cheap and Nat. Mizu Darkseer is a sight to behold. This is one of his specialties on the offlane. I would consider one of his best heroes on the offlane. You've got strong combinations coming out. Of course, with Hyde on the Clockwork, well, actually Q on the Clockwork, and Hyde on the Bane, they can at least cut off the run-in. Let's say the Nightmare plays that can come true. On the side of NGX, we'll see how much they can get from the side lanes. Yeah, we'll see how much, or whether or not they can really maximize that early presence of the Darkseer. Down the line, their scaling is a lot better now as well. Off lane, the vacuum wall, it's always strong, as we do have a bit of a scuffle over the runes right now. Q running up on the Clockwork, boots at the ready, battery assault not quite leveled up. Looks like both sides should still just be able to grab their 2 for 2. As it is actually a 3 for 1 grab. Talon kind of ignoring the river one. Hyde not able to grab that for himself. It does come out a lot stronger here for the side of NGX. So they're going to have a lot more to play with, as they are already getting good chase out onto Savage. A lot of damage out onto the Dusa. Has the salve at the ready. Going to be forced to pop it early. And we're seeing that early presence out from Jokam. Popping that Scorched Earth, using the boots, running down the Dusa. Just ensuring they've got that great start lined up for Mizu, who, again, already has a pretty good lane on hand. You can play with a combination of Doom. Level 2 feels like it's where it really shines here for the side of NGX, as you should be able to play with the creep that you can grab up and, start to run down with the Iron Shell. They do manage to drop Mizu low this time. Just some harassment out from Hyde and the Mystic Snake flying through from Savage. It's going to be able to hold that lane quite well. It's up top. Already a little bit of aggression coming out as well from Talon. And In Your Dream on his Monkey King, one of his special heroes as well in the safe lane, along with Boomboy on the Pugna up against Q and KP. As they will try to get that early start out for
you guys can hear me right, so things are going
on
pretty badly right now.
A
I'm
lot
just trying
on
to
this hero, especially in, I believe, Tour 1. Played a lot of offlane DP in that iteration of Talon, something he's very familiar with as well. Some aggression can come true here for Talon as well in the offlane, especially once they hit level 3 here. As we'll just kind of play tag down mid, of course. The last lane, Alacrity up against Mikado. DK versus Ember, very static lane. You can't expect both sides to kind of just grab your farm. A little bit of harassment out, as there was a bit of a pull come through from Jokam, is interrupted by Hyde as well. So they get the creep wave to meet in the middle. Still to Jokam's benefit to grab that solo EXP. Again, trying to work towards that point of the Doom, where you can play with a Devour creep, play with the Infernal Blade, chase down with the Iron Shell on top. and can just kind of get going there.
First blood.
Alright, so just a little bit of a back and forth so far. First blood did go the way of NGX, already finding a nice kill onto Hyde. Again, getting the punishment off, getting that early presence off with the Doom. And side of Talon, a bit of a slower start. They are getting some farm up for Savage. Not much you can really do to stop the Deuce of farming here, at least while your Doom is playing tag with the Bane. So you do manage to cut off the aggression coming out from the side of Talon, but you are getting that start you want on Savage. Still getting the build up, eventually going to work into what he wants here for the Dusa. And NGX, they're still feeling pretty good though. Their mid lane, Alacrity still finding that really good farm. There is some aggression coming in through the top lane as well. Just a little bit more coming through from KP this time around, but just not quite able to really, capitalize on top of it. They've got the levels on Q. They've got the cogs ready to go with a battery assault, and they can try to kind of just get things going there. Just try to get the jump up. And so far, so good. Very even start besides that first blood coming out. And the timings do feel like NGX might be looking to play a little bit faster with the Darkseer. With the Monkey King, they can kind of force the issue a lot quicker. But for now, just going to focus in on that farm, focus on that build-up. Down bot, still a pretty good looking lane for Savage, 24-5 now. Again, Mizu still finding what farm he can, but not as much. 13-0. We've been seeing Jokam go for the pull-ups, trying to get his levels. Does have level 2 up. So the Infernal Blade plus Iron Shell rundown is there with a Scorched Earth. Whether or not they'll get that opportunity onto Hyde, and even Savage is a bit tougher, as Savage has just been playing with a Mystic Snake, getting his mana up, getting the CS on, and just farming. You're not really looking for that aggression down bot on Talon's end, and you will just kind of focus in on hitting those timings later on, building up Medusa. For NGX, it does feel like you kind of need to wait for you have level 2 Iron Shell, but once you have, say, a Surge up in the Doom, run in with a Scorched Earth, Infernal Blade, that can be one way, as Hyde does manage to successfully get a pull off, cut off some more of that EXP that the rather greedy duo of Darkseer and Doom really need. And Jokam's just playing jungle, level 3 up now with a mana burn creep ready, so that's when things can get annoying for Savage. Up top, a little bit of a back and forth with In Your Dream, just running down Q just slightly. Still finding some good farm in Monkey, but definitely not as much as Redusa is working down bot. And KP's working this lane a little bit better as well, getting the build-up he needs on that Prophet. Again, no major aggression coming out from, say, the cogs coming through with combinations you can throw out. And for NGX, I think the big break we'll be looking for is onto that mid. Level 6 already up on Alacrity. He's got the Dragon form ready. He can look to pressure tower. They are getting some rotations down bot, though. TP in from Q. Not going to give any openings to jump Savage. They know there's a big threat with a mana burn creep. They get the Nightmare off onto Musa, who will just dash away, but here comes Q with the cogs and the battery assault, and that should be a nice clean kill onto Jokam. No way out with a battery assault running. Q will get that kill for himself, and Savage will just get back to farming. So even with that level 3 up, Talon recognizes that threat. Dragon Q gives him an opportunity to rotate towards mid to relieve some of the pressure on Mikado, as well as, again, Alacrity just pops Dragon form and starts to push in. Leaves the solo lane top. In Your Dream just copying a little bit of that Spirit Siphon, but it's not much of a threat. In Your Dream, if pushed, can always try to run up and try to build up on that. Jingu is slightly behind in level and does hit 5 now, so has that opportunity, but the clump up in mid is there. Boomboy shows up as well, trying to get the D-ward off on the sentry. Does get Nightmared up. It is taken off immediately, as they don't quite have the mana on Hyde. They've got 2 mangoes ready. Q, not going to force it. So to respect the durability and back off. Savage, left in the solo lane, is starting to drop a little bit lower than he'd want. Again, the threat is there. Jokam, Iron Shell up, can get surged forward in Scorched Earth, play with a Mana Burn, play with Infernal Blade, and look for that kill onto the Dusa. Q and Hyde are here to ensure that doesn't happen, but there is a ward spotting their movement in. So the side of NGX will be able to back off once more and just play the lane, keep getting their farm. Not much punishment coming out onto Jokam right until he died. Some pressure onto mid, not much that Boomboy and Alacrity can really do. They don't have the chain stuns to really jump on top of an Ember, and they don't have the levels on Boomboy to get the burst off. Still some contesting here onto the stacks. Nightmare out onto Jokam. So they've got the cogs and battery salt once more. Jokam trying to run into the creep wave, and Boomboy's here to cut them off. Ward is down to mitigate some of the damage. Not quite enough to really stop this. The damage is still there. Boomboy trying to get his own damage off, but Q just manages to walk it off, no issues.
Hey, John, can you hear me? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. Hello, Parker.
I'm good.
How
I'm
you
replacing doing? Mike quickly since he's having some technical issues, but you've got yourself a co-caster, so you're no longer alone. I'm glad to be joining you for another cast. This game,
excellent.
It's heating up.
It has been 2-1 start already for Talon, having a little bit of a back and forth. We've been seeing these ideas come out from NGX, you know, getting that build up they want in Jokam. I love the idea of just running down with Mana Burn, with Scorched Earth, Infernal Blade, and Iron Shell on top, but they haven't been able to commit onto Savage. The supports of Talon have been doing a great job of just protecting the Dusa, getting the build up they want on Savage, and just kind of preventing NGX from just snowballing off that strong offlane here.
Yeah, do you feel like they have the answer to this Dusa? Because right now I'm looking at this and it feels like Dusa is just getting absolutely everything she wants, potentially even kills here as Q comes in. They're looking for the kill on Mizu's Darkseer, and this is one thing Clockwork's so good at. Locks the Darkseer in, finds another kill. This Dusa is just getting everything in this safe lane.
Just a little bit too much, I think, for Savage, especially in comparison to what In Your Dreams lane is shaping up to be. Yeah, it's a solo lane against a DP, not much kill threat from KP alone, but In Your Dream isn't free to farm as much as he'd want as well. They are committing down mid here, though.
Yeah, can they find Makoto? He's just going to farm right in their face here with the Flame Guard on. He's just tanking through all the damage, and, well, he's got the Remnant to get out of there, plus a regen rune, so they never really had a chance at getting that one without a Doom.
Yeah, Mikado is pretty happy with that. Again, he knows that the side lane pressure is kind of relieved. KP's free to just play around with his first Exorcism now, going up top, getting a bit of a push. In Your Dream still hanging around for the farm. Not quite running away yet, but Hyde is around with Nightmare. Not going to be able to connect, but that early laning pressure is coming through now from Talon's end. If they find this early tier 1, it could cut off that build-up they'd want on In Your Dream. He is going down bot. Savage has left that lane, opting for the jungle, which he can get done. Level 4 split shot already up. So the flash farm begins for the Dusa, and it just doesn't feel like NGX found that early aggression they'd want to stop that.
Yeah, and as much as Dusa is this scary late game hero, I feel like we compare it with a hero like Death Prophet. Like, you can see this Talon draft start kind of taking over the map and snowballing with like an early Aegis, just with Dusa having 1 or 2 big items. So Talon, I don't think necessarily going to be looking to go, you know, the 60 minutes that NGX like to go for. This Dusa is going to try to come online as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that early presence for Savage is a pretty major threat. Just a couple of items, maybe you're just looking for the Manta Scotty and you're kind of good to go. And NGX, I mean, it feels like with this kind of start for In Your Dream, it's going to be hard to match that pace. Like, there is a lot of good timings for the Monkey King down the line. Even the DK, right, with the Ags build up, and just becomes really menacing in the middle of these fights. But the early timings for Talon just feel scary, especially when Makoto start. He's been able to hold his mid well, level 9 up, Maelstrom almost done. They're already dragging Savage onto the mid to apply their own pressure onto that tier 1. And NGX aren't in a shape to really defend. Mizu is pretty low farming the jungle, and it feels like they need at least the Iron Shell up to jump in, and they don't even have any early blinks up yet.
Yeah, no one's really ready to fight or defend. They're doing this even without an Exorcism. They're just going from tower to tower, and this was after also invading that enemy jungle and taking the stacks. All NGX can do is try and respond with this bottom tier 1, but that's a much slower effort, so this tier 1 mid is definitely going down one way or another. They want to try and turn and fight this one. They come in with the vacuum wall onto 23 Savage. He's just going to Stone Gaze and walk away, so no real follow-up for the Darkseer there. They may just want to go for this tower deny, but for now they're leaving it alive as Talon going to be forced to at least back off for now with all the NGX heroes showing mid. They're smoked up. They're trying to use this tier 1 mid tower as bait, John.
Looking for the angle. They've got that Doom still waiting on Jokam, but they aren't able to find anyone. Side of Talon playing a bit safe. KP is a bit forward here, clearing out the camps, and could be the target.
There's the blink reveal on the Dragon Knight. They're going on KP. Have they got the damage for this? He's got Spirit Siphon, 3 Hero Silence as well. He's gonna life drain his way back up, and with a TP out, they have got a vacuum. I think Doom for a second they thought he was gonna have to ulti, but Mizu was ready with the vacuum. They get the kill, but 3 hero smoke reveal, a nice kill nonetheless.
Radiant's bottom tower
Yeah, it's the kill they'd want. It's still onto a core. I think you'd be much happier if you found a bigger core. KP is still worth a lot of gold. He has been able to farm up quite nicely on that VP offlane. And NGX can just kind of be happy. They still have Doom on hand. They get something despite blowing their vac wall a while ago. And they buy themselves that time for In Your Dream to work into his own farming items. Talon does seem more than happy to trade that way though. Again, they're just having Mikado farm up into the Maelstrom. Savage has all the room in the world in the triangle, uncontested, no vision down there either, so they can't really make moves onto the Dusa. Yasha's already up into the Manta next. The stats will build up here, Parker, and again, it just feels like for NGX, there's a certain tempo you have to meet. They do get a good blink reveal on Alacrity, and are very close to Jokam having his own blink, so that blink Dragon Tail stun into Doom is going to be a reality sooner rather than later. But it just doesn't feel like they've been able to commit on the objectives, right? Like, you guys talked about this on the panel, you know, tempo lineups just don't feel like they really come out and see. You pick this DK, you pick this Pugna, you're not really melting the objectives. You lost your mid-tier one earlier, your top's gone, your top jungle's kind of exposed, and you haven't been able to trade it back in NGX's end.
Yeah. Same time, they will be forced to at least attempt to play with tempo because they are rushing blink daggers on not just the DK, but also the Doom now as well, so Darkseer going for this Aghanims build. It's going to be looking to 5-5-5. He's found a Doom target in the Bane here. Level 6 Bane was going on a bit of a warding mission, I guess, and Jokam was there waiting for him. So early use of the Doom, but nonetheless it is a kill, and I think right now NGX.SEA are just looking to get whatever they can, and the little scraps will happily be picked up in order for Jokam to get a bit closer to that blink dagger.
Yeah, you take what you can get. Smoke out here from Talon now, though, knowing that the Doom is down and they have got an opportunity.
It's going to be a little Pugna kill, it looks like, as Clockwork's there with the find. Still has hook shot if they want to try and follow this up with any more towers or objectives. They've got Death Prophet ultimate as well, so I imagine Talon have got to be at least considering some kind of pressure play on the map, but at the same time, it also seems like they're more than happy just to play this kind of farming economy game. 5 heroes. Like, look at the minimap, and they're spread out everywhere, just trying to get as much farm as possible.
Yeah, they're doing a little bit better of that on Talon's end, at least on Savage. They're kind of still playing this catch-up game on NGX. Mizu is still trying to save up for his Ags, for the Dodgeball Iron Shell with a bit of a shield on. And I suppose once that's up, you feel really good initiating with your DK with a Blink combination on hand, with a Surge to kind of keep up. And with just how tanky a DK gets with that Iron Shell plus HP. Alacrity does find a good target here. Again, onto Hyde.
Hyde, once again, off on his own, doing some warding once again, I guess. You know, the first time we didn't see how it started. This time we kind of got a better idea of him just wandering into this enemy jungle. But when you've got 4 other heroes farming on the map as a 5, you know, quote-unquote, space created for Hyde there.
And pretty much, Mikado.
Yeah, he's almost solo killing Boombo. The ancient damage coming in as well. Is he going to go for this one? Oh, Blink Dragon Tail, Alacrity. He maybe got enough damage to get this kill. Mikado, big mistake in the enemy ancients by himself, and he feeds away a kill.
Yeah, that's the big kill NGX needs. They bait in Mikado to get the kill off. Even Boomboy, he was looking for it to deny there with a life drain, trying to drop himself low to take that kill away. Instead, they get the turnaround play from a great response out from Alacrity. Talon, it still kind of goes back to what you said there, Parker. They're still farming up in Savage. They're still kind of farming up in KP here as well, who's very close to his own BKB. And it does feel like it's still all about the Dusa growing big. Savage, Mantle already up. Scotty next, once you have all those stats up. It doesn't feel like In Your Dream's going to be able to really deal with that all too well yet. He's got the Maelstrom, he's going into the BKB, he's still lagging behind by almost 2k gold in comparison to Savage. And that's a comfy lead for the Dusa to play around with. I think for Talon, their only issue right now is that Mikado is struggling a bit in comparison to these other 2 heroes on NGX's end. He is working towards the Lincolns for some protection from the Doom or Dragon Tail stun. And that's going to be big, but it's going to take a while until that's up.
Well, one of the big things it feels like with this slow kind of late game oriented game is, I know Sheepa mentioned, you know, the Monkey King, it's being picked up primarily against the Medusa. Just how good is this matchup? If this goes like, can Monkey King, you know, outscale a hero like Dusa? What does that matchup kind of come down to in your mind?
I think it's actually a pretty close matchup with Dusa. And Wukong's is just massively strong against physical cores. forcing them to fight inside the arena is big, although Savages like to stand back, but still piercing through all that bonus armor is tough for someone like Medusa, and you don't really have the best magic damage to deal with that on Talon's end. So I think that's what they're going to gun for on NGX if it does scale towards a really long game. Just knowing that In Your Dream can drag these fights for a very long time. They've got tankiness on their DK as well. Even, again, the Doom gets pretty big towards the late game. You've got the Iron Shell up with Mizu. Having the Ags up now, we're going to see some of that durability kick in with plus 275 HP on the Iron Shell. Not to mention the split push you can achieve. So the stall tactic is there for NGX. I think for Talon in that ultra late game, it's about chain stunning the Monkey King to an extent, preventing the Wukongs, and cleaning up after. If you take away the Wukongs, I mean, that's pretty much it. The counter doesn't present itself, and there are a lot of ways to scout. You've got Clockwork with a flare. They're going for the smoke out here in Talon, though.
What can they find here? 5-man smoke out. They want to try bypass some of those wards. We're just seeing they found the Dragon Knight with the Searing Chain setup. They get the hookshot follow-up, and Alacrity doesn't have any kind of a BKB yet, so he gets brought down with ease. Nice 5-man smoke. We had the Observer showing some of the great dire vision there. I mean, you mentioned NGX just kind of looking to stall this one out, and a big part of what's been enabled them to do so has been all this defensive ward. Problem is, a pickup like that's going to instantly lead into Talon, into the Roshan Pit, and of course, there's a double damage there. So Talon will take this uncontested, and this is perhaps where their draft really starts to find its footing.
Yeah, and they're hitting that temporal here, Parker. And you mentioned it. Medusa, even with just a couple of items, does feel like a massive issue. Just so durable, but a Mana Shield fully maxed out. A little bit more HP and mana in the pool as well, with all the stats from the Manta and the casual Ultimate Orb. Inside of NGX, they're still kind of playing this farm game. Still building up in the Monkey. They've had the Ags on Mizu, but they need that Blink online on him as well. They do at least have Jokam's Blink, and they could have a good angle here.
Yep. In the jungle, KP playing aggressive here. They found Jokam, but that Boundless Strike will cancel the grip here, and the DK now in the front lanes with an Iron Shell on, but he's just not tanky enough to fight through the Spirit Siphons. This is without the Exorcism. They're just dropping like flies here. The Wukong's command gets evaded. Talon just choosing to fight on the outskirts of it, and now they've stopped the TP of Mizu. DarkSeer going to be a third casualty as this fight just falls apart for Nigma, Galaxy, and Talon. Going to be feeling really happy with that outcome.
Now, it's a great angle from Hugh to hookshot onto that ramp, catching out Boomboy, preventing any sort of life drain play. It's as you guys pointed out in the panel as well, Parker, you know, the Clockwork cancels out the Pugna, prevents that sustain. Always have an angle to stop the life drain from coming through onto the ally, or even offensively as well. Yep. And NGX, they forced that issue. They were on the low ground. They were playing near the secret shop. They tried to go into their triangle and play right into Talon after the Aegis take. And they still hold on to that Aegis for quite some time. NGX lagging a bit behind now here, Parker. 8-6, 3k lead for Talon. For NGX, it still feels like they're not quite fight ready on In Your Dream. Maybe when the Scotty's up, you feel a lot better. You can just threaten in the Wukongs a lot better as well and try to play with a Vac Wall combo into Wukongs. But until that point, it feels like you're going to be looking more for skirmishes here on NGX, if any at all.
Yeah. I'm more surprised looking up that it's only a 3k gold lead. It feels like more as they found a target up top, Dragon Tail into a Doom, Mikoto. This one less of a mistake than his previous death, but there's going to be a counter kill on the other side of the map. This one just to support though. But a nice little setup at top. The stun initiation to a Doom. That's the big kill, getting Mikoto there. Going to really help Nigma Galaxy as far as just slowing down any kind of Talon snowball here where, you know, Talon want to go from tower to tower, take over the map. With Ember dead, it just gets a little bit trickier to do that.
Yeah, their big initiation on Talon Send's really going to be Mikoto. You don't have natural jump in outside of Clock or anything to follow through from the Clockwork. KP is working towards a Blink, along with already having the BKB up. That could be one solution. It does have the gold. And the respawn of Mikoto isn't too long, so they could start clumping around soon enough to find these tier 2. Scotty fully up on Savage. Age is still up for 2 minutes 20. A lot of time to chip away here. And for NGX, they're down a Doom, so going for these big plays is going to be tougher.
Yeah, they're poking at the Medusa, but with 2 minutes left on an Aegis, I do not think this is a target you have any, you know, realistic chance of bringing down. I mean, once, let alone twice, now that she's completed a Scotty. I mean, 23 Savage is just feeling like, you know, he's on top of the world. He's got the Lincolns queued up, which kind of touched upon how good it can be against the Doom and the Dragon Knight, and at that point, 23 Savage can just be this front-lining monster.
Yeah, he's just massive at the moment. And they do manage to clear out that mid-tier 2. No contest from the side of NGX. I think for NGX, it looks pretty rough losing your outer towers like this. You have insanely good high ground, right? Like, you've got Wukongs, you've got Vac Wall, the threat of that, you've got the Doom on a single target, you've got Dragon Tail, Life Drain Sustain, all the way in the back line for the Pugna. It's a lot harder for the Clockwork to cut you off. So even if they drop some of these early objectives, the high ground's going to be a different beast for Talon to rip through. And that could lead him to be a little bit more safe. Only a minute now on the Aegis. Another ultimate orb out for Savage, working onto his own Lincolns. So starting to stack that single target protection here on the side of Talon. Mikado is still waiting for his own ultimate orb to finish that up. And they are starting to chip away at the top. Double damage sits here on the river as well. No one really finding it yet, but Talon in a good position now to just control the map. And again, Parker, we heard this from Jokam in the interview. They're looking for map control. They still have hold in the bot, but Talon's keeping it equal.
Yeah, and that's, I think, where it's like, you can have this maybe Monkey versus Deuce matchup where you stand a chance, but I don't think that applies when Deuce is a full, like, almost 6,000 net worth ahead. Like, and this is not like, you know, this is like 50% more net worth. This is a massive lead that 23-7 has over Monkey King, which is not criticism of Monkey King, but more just testament to how well Talon have enabled this Medusa just to free farm the entire map, stack Ancients for her, and just completely, almost, you know, so far solo carry this game.
Yeah, it just goes back to... I don't want to necessarily say how Talon plays, but how Savage plays, right? He's very comfy on these big farming heroes. We saw that in his time in T1. And even in his time in Fnatic, right, he plays these big win conditions that if you do give him a lot of space, the investment always pays off. And NGX just hasn't been able to punish that. We expected more presence out from the Darkseer Doom lane. They didn't really focus on the Dusa. They were chasing down Hyde's Bane instead, which did give them a couple of kills. But it's not the target they wanted at that point. And Savage still found a farm. They've got great control on this top jungle. They're just waiting for NGX to maybe step out and make a small mistake. NGX, for their part, they've got that blink on Mizu. So they do have that blink Vac Wall combination in play. Grabbing a Dusa illusion when she's more than half the net worth of In Your Dream above him. That could turn against the side of Talon if they're not careful.
So that's the strat. Let Medusa get as farmed as she wants because we get Medusa illusions, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that a bit in game 2, right? With the Dark Portrait on the Terrorblade and the Dragon Knight. You can use them really effectively. It's just a matter of cooldowns. You know, this is a lot longer cooldown than Dark Portrait at, what, 26.3 seconds, I think, with the Octarine there for Q last game. So the uptime for this is a bit less. It's still massive. And again, that gives NGX the confidence to just bleed out this control outside. Yeah,
the issue is the uptime for Medusa is, as long as she's alive, 100%. So, and killing her is going to be the tricky part. But now we're going to see, you know, all this defensive itemizations. Medusa had the Linken's queue up. Ember finished the Lincoln, so you can't really make that Dragon Tail into Doom play as easily. And then we had Death Prophet, who had, I believe, a Lotus Orb queued up. So they're going for all these single-target defensive items. As Yokam gets jumped in the jungle. He went for the Doom, but he didn't know about the Lincoln, so... Not that I think he was going to get that kill anyways, but Doom gets blocked there by the Lincolns, and Talon going to see what else they can maybe find now. Smoke up on NGX, but I don't think they're going to look to turn this into any kind of initiation now. They're probably just looking to hide.
Yeah, I think if they managed to get a Doom off into someone, they might have felt pressure to come in and follow through after that massive commitment. But they don't see the angle. Their high ground's still pretty good. They've still got the threat of Vac Wall on such a confined area. But even with such a tight confined area, Dusa hits from a mile away. So catching more than Savage is going to be a bit tricky. They will go for it.
Yep, they pull it back in with the vacuum here, but KP charges forward with a BKB. He's got the Exorcism going with the Spirit Siphon. He's doing so much damage to the Darkseer. Darkseer's going to melt to start off this fight. No buyback available. Doom respawning soon, but without a Doom. And Dusa just going to use the Stone Gaze to disengage from top, poke at mid because of the Wukong's command, and they've got no ultimates. They've got nothing they can use to defend this one. The Death Prophet Exorcism will be wearing off soon, so I'm not sure if Talon will look to commit to the racks here without an Aegis, but even without an Aegis, I think 23 Savage is pretty damn near unkillable, so they may just want to stick around. Exorcism will be healing up KP shortly, and this melee racks getting brought down low. Makoto even willing to kind of poke at it on the front lanes here. That's just how confident Talon feel. They commit everything, take themselves a melee racks, and they back off. They're drawing lines towards the Roshan pit, which I believe will be respawning sometime soon. So yeah, a minute and a half there. We see the timer. And Talon will be playing that kind of map control game until they can probably get themselves the next Aegis now.
Yeah, it's tough one for NGX now. It's back to what you said earlier, Parker. You know, when you have this Dusa that farms up, it's not necessarily just a late game threat. It also gets really big early on, just because of how fast it farms. And NGX, they blew everything they had to try to hold top. They only catch Savage. They only get really 1 or 2 illusions out from Savage as well, and it's still not enough. Managed to focus in. Really good swing around from Talon to go for the mid instead outside of Wukong's. And Talon still aren't backing off. They're holding this top jungle. They're waiting for Roshan to be up to give themselves the opening. Mikado's just poking and prodding right now on that Ember. And they can't cross the line. Like, they've got a monkey who can try scouting. In Your Dream does have his BKB, and the Scotty is almost done, just lacking really the gold for the point booster at this point.
Yep.
And that should give them some more stats to be durable in that Wukong's, but as we've seen, Talon can just easily run away from it if they want.
Yeah, you even got this gem on the Ember Spirit, so at this point Talon are just all about this kind of vision game, making sure they de-ward any dire wards that come out. There has been one planted just outside the base in the mid, but for now Talon just making sure they keep catching this mid and top wave. Bane is just camping himself in the Roshan pit, waiting for that Roche respawn, and the second it is, I got to imagine that Talon will be converging at the Roshan pit, and well, it's just respawn now, and I don't even know if NGX can contest this one with the lack of vision and just the position they're in.
Yeah, it's just tough for NGX to make their way down there. You've already got the wards to protect. From the side of Talon, they'll get it done. Mikado just split pushing in the interim period. Roche not going to be contested from the side of NGX. And Talon, without Aegis, should be able to start thinking about high ground once more. Free Shard coming through as well. Could be good on KP or Savage. Or even Q, arguably could be good with the jetpack. So we'll see who they distribute that to, but NGX just stuck in their base. They do have wards watching outside their base, which could allow them to get a stronger defensive fight and catch the side of Talon off guard. And doesn't look like they'll get that opportunity just yet, as at least one of the wards will expire in a short bit of time. Top is cleared out by Mikado as well. And they do hand the shard to Savage, so the core does get all the benefits here, Parker. He at least has that Mystic Sneak bouncing around.
Exactly. It feels like it never matters how good your support shard or Ag Scepter is from a Roche drop. If the carry needs it, it's going their way. And if the mid needs it, you know it's going their way. But right now, I mean, this Deuce is going to be on the front line, just tanking everything up and going high ground, so I don't mind this at all. It looks like they're not going to go for the top lane. They actually want to redirect some of their attention towards bottom. There's a couple outer towers here remaining, so if they want to get mega creeps, they're going to have to deal with this tier 1 and tier 2, and it seems like, for now at least, Talon are willing to play things a bit patiently, wait for that bottom creep wave to push out, but smoke up from NGX, what have they got in mind here? Are they looking to take a fight, or is this just to try to get some vision? Because this is something I didn't maybe expect from them in this position. Usually you just see a team kind of defending their high ground, but they're making a move. Well, they make a move, maybe not.
Yeah, I think it was for wards there, Parker. Jokam at least dips out, gets a ward under top jungle to keep some vision out, but not really much else. Talon, been patient for that creep wave coming in from bot, should be able to start to commit onto that tier 2 relatively soon. Just holding the triangle right now, keeping that build up on Savage. Should be able to find that last outer tower to open up the mega creeps, as you mentioned there, Parker. So, gonna be threatening for the full set of mega creeps. Age is still up for 3.5 minutes, almost. And it just doesn't feel like they have an answer for Savage. It feels like they have to land every single spell. I think ideally now you'd want to catch the Ember. Like, you need to catch Mikado somehow, break the Lincolns, get the Doom off onto him, get the Vac Wall with the Ember, and then you've got some room to play there.
That's a lot of big ifs, and we're going to be seeing that put to test here as they've some initial Medusa illusions, but 23 Savage and KP just going to put themselves on the high ground with Exorcism and Medusa right clicks. They're challenging Nigma.SEA to do something to defend this, and there's just nothing they can do. They're just watching their base die, and it's hard to blame them too much. They're going to go in with a vacuum wall. The Doom tries to follow it up, but he immediately gets slipped up and controlled. He's getting gripped now as well. Hyde's just sitting in invis while he grips the Doom, doesn't let him get it off. He does have buyback here, as does the Darkseer, so they're all looking to come back in, and with the Wukong plus wall, the circle with a line through it. What do you? I don't know what you call that one, John. That shape, but it doesn't. It gets them out of the base, but they're going to be coming right back, I think.
Yeah, they've got that opportunity now, knowing the big spells are down. Doom is still up for Jokam. He did have to buy back just to ensure that he is around the area to pop that to defend. Talon more than satisfied, and they will go for an offensive smoke themselves. So we'll see if they find a wrap here.
Yeah, this time no Exorcism for the high ground push, but They may just feel strong enough with Medusa alone. I mean, she just starts poking creeps and happy to reveal herself. The other four just sitting smoke behind. BKB complete for Medusa, just sitting in the backpack, ready to replace this Aegis should it get taken out. And Makoto's going to see what he can find here. Puts himself on the high ground while smoked here is the Medusa. Makoto, they're just going to, show themselves and basically once again challenge Nigma Galaxy to make a play. They go in, they look to get the Doom off, and they succeed. Ember doesn't get his BKB off. He does get forced off and Glimmet back to safety. And while all this is going on, Medusa, of course, going ignored because, what can you do against an Aegis Medusa? And the answer is really nothing at this point. So you can't blame them for going for the Ember there. But not getting the kill is going to be very, very costly.
Yeah, I mean, now you're down Doom, you're still down the wall. You do have Wukong's ready, and the wall will be up relatively shortly, so if you've got some play, Savage.
Darkseer blinks in with a punch. You get Savage low. He's going to at least die once, it looks like. They should have the damage here, but the hookshot coming out of the backlines. Q has found Boombell, and he's just going to drop like a little squishy Pugna. And Medusa is back with full health and mana, and the BKB, there's just nothing to deal with her on her second life here. Boombell's bought back on the Pugna, trying to keep his DK alive, but it's just too little too late as 23 Savage pushes them all back to the fountain. Now they're going to focus their efforts, or refocus them back on this top lane of Rax. Tier 3 tower goes down. KP's Exorcism is also not far from coming back up. This is looking like mega creeps. They just don't have the numbers to defend this. There's the Exorcism, and with a 3 versus 5, there is just no chance in hell of defending this. Talon may even go for the tier 4s here. They don't have Aegis, but 2 heroes dead without buyback for 30+ seconds. This may just be game.
Yeah, there's no threat of Doom, no threat of Wukong's and wall.
Hook shot.
Oh, Q.
Cogs keeps him outside the base. He can't force stuff back in. He tries to, but the Cogs, a wall, locking them out of the fountain. And it's absolutely brutal. Nigma Galaxy being hunted in their own base, in their own fountain. GG is called, and Game 3 convincingly goes Talon's way. This looked like a breeze for them.
It certainly did. NGX, they came up with this idea of Darkseer Doom offlane. It feels like it could be aggressive. That's a comfort pick for Mizu, but Talon just go back to their own comfort. KP, DP that he played a ton of in the past tours, they go back to the Savage Dusa, have stable win conditions, Mikado and the Ember, and they just get really aggressive. And they know what they have to do on the supports as well. Q and Hyde were copying a few of those early engagements. Hyde, especially in the lane, was being sacrificed and able Savage to get that farm up, and eventually he just managed to hit those early timings. More than half of In Your Dreams Sent Word was added onto Savage, and they just kept running from there.
Yeah, I mean, for Talon, they didn't look too, they weren't popping off after that game. I imagine after game 2, they were probably a little bit, emotionally beat down, but they get the win. Hopefully we'll get a chance to speak to one of them. John, I appreciate you joining me. Hopefully you can get Mike back for the next best of 3, because that was just the first of one best of 3. So I won't keep you too much longer. I'll let you get some rest, get yourself some water, hydrate up, and we're going to be right back with the full panel to break down this first series of today for the DPC.SEA. Stick around.
In a series that has lasted 4 hours, we see, I think I've done the right maths there. We see Talon take it 2-1, and game 3, very convincing fashion. These guys looked great, from the laning phase, maybe a little bit shaky out of it with Makoto getting caught a few times in that Ember in positions he probably shouldn't have been, but ultimately just snowballing. I know that they ended up getting a double damage and Roche at 18 minutes, which is just absolutely insane, but Darkseer is a hero that you wanted to see quite a lot. We finally get to see him in this, and unfortunately, he does lose, but I'm sure there's still some things that you enjoyed seeing out of him.
Yeah, obviously, the way they laned was how I typically always thought Darkseer would lane. Like, in the past, I'm talking months back, we've seen Darkseer get picked in pro player, and I'm like, yeah. So basically, like, they just, like, double shell up, stand behind the tower, and, like, farm the creeps like that instead of actually laning, or like they have to run the creeps around, and then the Darkseer will like lane properly, and I'm like, why are they doing this? I don't understand. I'm so confused. I don't understand this hero. This game, they ran the creeps around. I don't even know what happened. Somehow the creeps ended up in like the west side of the Radiant jungle somewhere with the supports like trying to, I don't know what was happening. It was just insane. It was not non-laning in such an extreme way that it allowed Medusa to just free farm beyond her wildest dreams.
I kept seeing Bane like pulling waves to the Medusa. Bane was just like this bringer of farm. Like Medusa didn't have to leave the lane to follow the creep waves because Bane would always bring them back. So
yeah, like what was happening there? And the iron build he went for was the Ags Blink Shard. It's my favorite build to see on DarkSea. I just think it's cool, but it just doesn't seem to have that much impact. It felt like, especially when Medusa is that far ahead, you make the illusion of her, but you can kind of just like kill it. And obviously when it hits Medusa, she's just taking a little bit of like plonk damage on her shield. It's not really actually killing her in the same way it would kill like a TB or a Luna.
NGX were able to get, you know, a few pickoffs coming out of laning phase. They were still able to somewhat keep in the game when it came to kills. But what were Talon kind of ensuring they weren't giving away? Like, how are they making sure NGX wasn't snowballing and running away with these pickoffs and kills?
I think they prioritize, instead of taking any fights, like they basically said, like, go ahead, take these kills. Like I would look at the minimap and I'd just see 5 Talon heroes spread across the minimap, all farming their own place, and then Bane was like running into the enemy jungle, you know, tactically feeding. And I legit think it's very tactical, because running there alone with no backup, like he almost wanted to die, it felt like, knowing that 3 cores were farming, you know? He had the death pact.
You know, that's a hide Bane.
Yeah.
The amount of times he does this on his Bane is astronomical.
Yeah. His sets were fine. Makoto, I think, you know, that was the only slip-ups. I think as far as Talon goes, like, they played this game incredibly well. They had a clear plan. They played, you know, it was a Medusa game. It wasn't the most flashy. It wasn't the most exciting. And the fact they didn't let, you know, Makoto, I think, particularly the one death where he was in the enemy Ancients trying to kill a Pugna, that was reminding me of the old Boom Makoto where he would, like, win his lane and then go dive enemy tier 3s and stuff. We got to see, a bit of that come back, and, you know, they didn't let it snowball in the wrong direction. So.
Yeah. Look, it's been an insane series. I know I already said it, but this series has lasted so long. And we do have a winner's interview. KP is going to be joining us. KP, I have to ask you guys, an 80-minute game 2. How are you all feeling after that one?
Feels like we just got brooded. So, you know, we reset pretty easily. Just on to the next game.
Yeah, how is it? How are you guys able to bounce back from stuff like that so well?
And we just go outside, you know, get some fresh air. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't really like a really bad loss. Like, we were already kind of losing the game. It just got dragged out a bit.
Yeah.
So,
well, it was very impressive to see you guys bounce back and be so dominant in game 3.
Yeah, do you feel like you guys got some revenge with your own cheese of sorts in game 3, bringing back the Medusa and Death Prophet and stuff?
Honestly, our heroes are not really cheese. I wouldn't call it cheese. It's just our comfort, I guess.
Yeah.
How have you felt playing Marcy? Obviously, new hero, new in captain's mode. What's you guys' like opinion on her as a hero as she kind of grows and gets figured out?
This hero is still a bit like new to like every team, I would say. I think it is actually better on support, but in that game we really wanted the Grim, so I just played the Marcy because we really needed like a TB counter, right? And Grim was like the best choice there. So yeah, but I still like playing Marcy a lot myself. But unfortunately that game there were counters, so I couldn't really do very well.
It's also, you know, Talon's first time in Division 1 here in SEA. And I have to ask, what team are you most excited to come up against in the coming weeks?
T1. You know the reason.
Yeah.
That is all you have to say, KP. Thank you so much for joining us, and congratulations again on the win.
Bye-bye.
See ya. Look, the man, he might not say too many words, but he knows what will make an impact. T1, they're looking for that matchup when it does eventually happen.
I'm sure chat will be very civilized.
Dude, that's
going to
be a great series.
It is, but speaking of a great series, we do have a whole nother series for Division 1 Southeast Asia. It is going to be SMG up against Polaris. We could also have a look at the Division 1 standings before we jump to that series. Talon out there on top. They were looking good in Division 2. Now here they are in Division 1 looking just as good.
They got to play Boom on Saturday, though. Like, before they get to T1, they got to go through Boom. So that's going to be tough for them.
Boom were not looking in like Tour 1 form in their last series. So I'm actually like super hyped to see if they do return to that form, or if, you know, maybe they drop a game, maybe they drop a series. It's possible. Obviously Boom did not win Tour 2 either, so this is definitely a beatable Boom, I would say, but I think it's going to be great Dota.
Yeah, either way, it definitely is. And there is going to be more great Dota coming our way just after this break, so stay tuned.